Peace. So, let me talk about the mayor of New York City. Of course, the mayor is Eric Adams, former police officer. Um, so, he recently, he's still in his first term. Recently, took a trip to Israel, and he also took several trips to Latin American countries, Mexico. I think he went to Ecuador. He went to a few others, but the media didn't really go in on all his trips. But with his trip to Israel, I have a little problem with it. First of all, there was no reason for him to go to Israel. On top of that, it's going to cause controversy. I'm surprised it hasn't. The fact that we have this cozy relationship with Israel, while Palestinians are suffering. Gaza is an open air prison with walls, surrounded by walls. The West Bank, obviously, Jewish settlements, both legal and illegal, being built everywhere. Some people say talking points, bullshit. Talking points is being pro-Israeli. And we can go into the history of how Israel was created and the controversy that caused and the British creating Saudi Arabia. I mean, we could go in if you want to, but I'm not going to go that far because it's just about the mayor. But because the prime minister did bomb Gaza some years ago, committing mass atrocities, and I don't support Hamas, I don't support rockets, I don't support none of that shit. Let's put that out the way. All right? This is about supporting a state, though. A state that has its own army. If you want to say, Hamas doesn't have an army, They have goons, And they're not doing any Palestinians any favors because, the only thing they might be doing is actually food programs and stuff like that. I don't know. But sending baby rockets into cities and that forcing Israel then to crack down on Gaza doesn't do Palestinians any favors. But let's call it spade a spade. Prime Minister is a war criminal. Netanyahu, he's a war criminal. I'll say it, you know what I'm saying? Because nobody else is going to say it. He's a war criminal, in my opinion. And corruption charges, of course. So it's weird that Eric Adams decided to go to Israel. It's just weird. There was no reason. Okay, maybe he had a reason to go to Mexico and Ecuador because of the migrant crisis. But there was no reason to go to Israel. And of course now with the recent situation what Hamas did was just wrong. And then crackdown on Israel, which I knew that children were going to be killed on both sides, especially in Israel's crackdown in Gaza. I knew children were going to die. A lot of children are dead. With the baby's heads being cut off, I haven't seen any evidence of that. But you don't gotta put that in the front page and without any facts to back it up when Hamas is just killing innocent people. It doesn't matter. They kill innocent people. There was no reason to put something that hasn't been accepted as fact yet on the front page. And then so you have that situation going on now, and Israel about to do like a land invasion of Gaza. In the back of my mind, I wonder if maybe the mayor's visit may have antagonized Hamas to do something a few days later, because the mayor, it wasn't in maybe less than a week he was out there, or maybe it was a couple of weeks, but there was no reason to go down there. It was for security purposes. He wanted to know about certain things, and And I had a problem with that when he did that. This was before the recent Hamas attacks. I had a problem with it, you know, and wish I would have done a video then. But in back of my mind, I wondered because of the trips that he took to Mexico. And again, the Mexican president, he's another guy. A lot of people say that he's allowing the drug cartels to exist, that he's taking money from drug cartels, that he's allowing all kinds of gun running and all that stuff happening. And yet the mayor seems to be indifferent towards, and I understand, I'm against so many migrants just coming in here and not having a plan for them, you know what I'm saying? Like, but to me, with a very corrupt president doesn't help. And so in back of my mind, I feel like maybe he's positioned the mayor, Eric Adams, who I think is a nice guy. He seems like a nice guy, but he's a Democrat and he falls in line with the party, right? In back of my mind, I think he's maybe fixing himself to maybe for a presidential run in the near future. Not in the next year's election, but maybe in 4 years after that. Because it just, that, it feels like that. It feels like he's setting himself up to be this guy who meets with everybody. He didn't meet with the Palestinians, but he met with Netanyahu, but he also meets with the Mexican president, the Ecuadorian president, Venezuelan president. It's like, in his mind, he's already running for president. And that's what I feel like he's trying to do, instead of trying to be mayor of New York City. And it's tough being mayor of New York City, big city. Again, I think he's a nice guy, but he needs to concentrate. And again, I have to bring this up. He still hasn't talked about gentrification in Brooklyn or any other part of New York City. He still doesn't talk about it the way he should talk about it. And he's allowing gentrification to happen. He's allowing the big developers and the Hasidic landlords to build these big buildings because it puts money into the city, you know. And well, I don't know about the Hasidic buildings, but you know, which I call Jewish settlements, you know. And that's another thing too. All the Jewish settlements that were being built, that had to move so they could build a little so the Hasidic landlord could build the buildings for his people. Because that's, if you go to East Williamsburg now, it's basically all Hasidic, you know. So even somebody like me who's progressive feels a certain way about that religion and the way they treat people and all that. So the fact that everyone seems to support Israel doesn't help. And so I can't, you know, that's another story. Maybe I'm going off. But he still hasn't talked about gentrification. You know, it's almost like there's no other way to put money in the city. And yes, there is. There's lots of other ways, you know. But I just think it's insensitive to the Palestinians for him to go down there and meet with Netanyahu. And I think that might have set off Hamas. That's my opinion. And I'm not, again, let me say, I don't support Hamas, alright? But for every action, there's a reaction. Everything happens for a reason, right? So the fact that Palestinians are living in an open-air prison, the fact that they have to go through checkpoints, the fact that Gaza is surrounded by the wall, and then we could get into the West Bank, and the Jewish settlements that are being built there, it's like, come on, it's not fair. And nobody was talking about Israel or the Palestinian struggle, even when the mayor went down there, until Hamas decided to do something, which was stupid. You know, they murdered innocent people. That's, in a way, that's terrorism. You know, some people don't call it terrorism. I call it terrorism. But I believe the mayor's visit antagonized Hamas. This is what I believe. Okay, and I haven't done a video a while because of all the censoring. I'm still not sure if I want to stay on YouTube or keep putting videos on YouTube. But anyway, this is my take on the whole situation with the mayor, because it, it does feel like that. It feels like maybe he's trying to fix himself up to be a presidential runner for like in 4 years, 5 years, So that's all I gotta say about that. I think short but sweet, I think I addressed everything I wanted to address. I just had to get it off my chest because and you see this with Eric Adams, but with other mayors, you see whenever they talk about Williamsburg, they never talk about how Hasidic people are forcing people of color to move out so they can build their Jewish settlements. When he goes to Israel, he doesn't bring up how Palestinians are being forced to move out in the West Bank to make way for Jewish settlements, or how they're living in the open air prison in Gaza. He seems to be insensitive towards people of color, who most of us are poor, and yet he's a person of color. It just doesn't make sense for me. It doesn't make sense why, but it makes sense the fact that he's a Democrat, so he's doing what the Democratic Party wants him to do, and he's doing what he knows the Democratic Party wants him to do. But he's not doing favors for us or the people in general in New York City, and by going down there, not doing any favors for the poor Palestinians. If you're gonna go to Mexico, find out why so many Mexicans are joining the drug cartels. Why so many Mexicans are poor? He didn't do that. I mean, it wasn't like he went on a fact-finding mission. You know what I'm saying? He's playing it safe. He's playing it safe. He's definitely playing it safe, and he shouldn't play it safe. He should have been. If he would have ran as independent, he would have won because of his background as a long-time New York City police officer. But and I think later on a sergeant or whatever, a captain. But he chose to be a Democrat, and so he's being a typical Democrat politician. And we see this with all the Democrats. They seem to be no different than Giuliani or Republican politicians, right? They don't care about the poor. They don't bring it up. They don't do anything about gentrification. They don't speak up for the Palestinians when it comes to foreign policy, even though the mayor should not deal with foreign policy. And that's another thing. You're the mayor of New York City. Why are you going to Israel? Why you want to all of a sudden make these trips? Because you want to run for president one day. And I think other people should look into it. I think other people should call him out on that. This is not a knock on him personally, but I'm getting sick and tired of saying, "Oh, these are nice guys," and then they don't do what they're supposed to do because they're Democrats. And the people of New York City, we always vote for Democrats instead of voting independent or Green Party or somebody different. And we have to wake up. We have to just snap out of that Democratic plantation. Ever since Lyndon Johnson signed that Civil Rights Act, it's like everybody falls in step with the Democratic Party and the history with Lyndon Johnson. Nobody wants to believe that Lyndon Johnson was really anti-Martin Luther King and anti-civil rights. He just did that to set himself as president, to be popular, to not lose the election, keep his party in check. He's a businessman. But Lyndon Johnson did not like Martin Luther King Jr. All you gotta do is listen to the tapes. But that's what a lot of us want to believe. And I think that's a big mistake. And we should do it in a calm manner. We shouldn't just curse the mayor out. But just, let him know, look, this is what needs to be done, and you're not doing it. And this has to stop. And this has to stop. And then we need more of this, we have to set our demands and maybe go to the council meetings. A lot of us didn't go. I didn't go when I was living in Brooklyn because I was doing so much overtime. I just didn't. We're busy trying to make money. Uh, you know, my old neighborhood, the well, I wasn't the best eyeballer, but my old neighborhood, the council person is also Hasidic. So there you go. You see what I'm saying? Uh, so that's why I think. That's my opinion on it, and that's what I gotta say. Peace.